Back on Get Up, back to the draft. Graziano has got NFL draft overreactions on this Monday, and let's begin in Pittsburgh. Graz, if someone were to say the Steelers made a huge mistake not drafting a quarterback before round 6, is that an overreaction?
If someone were to say, as if no one's saying that. Yeah, it's an overreaction. I think this was a group of quarterbacks that just wasn't viewed as potentially special or franchise altering, and to force one, like the Steelers did with Kenny Pickett a couple years ago in the first round of the draft, that can create as many problems as it solves. So they had other needs at other positions they wanted to address with their early picks. They end up taking Will Howard in the 6th, who's a guy they like as a prospect, and Aaron Rodgers is still out there as a possibility.
Agree or disagree?
I somewhere in the middle, because I got to think that the Pittsburgh Steelers have a deal with Aaron Rodgers. They are too good of an organization, Greeny, to go in the season with that quarterback depth chart, especially when you just gave up a second-round pick and $30 million for DK Metcalf. I am just hard-pressed to think that Mason Rudolph's their opening day quarterback. I got to think there's a close to agreement in place with Rodgers.
Let's go to the next one, Graziano. As someone said, Travis Hunter is the best thing that could have happened to Trevor Lawrence. Is that an overreaction?
It's not an overreaction. I mean, look, this adds another target for him in the past. First of all, what is not to like about Travis Hunter?
Yeah.
He crushed everything on Thursday night. But Brian Thomas Jr., first-round pick last year. Now you have 2 studs you can throw the ball to. And plus, I think this is good for Trevor Lawrence, who's still kind of working through trying to live up to his draft pedigree, and there's a lot of pressure on him. This guy's going to be a focal point for a lot of the attention in Jacksonville.
So we know that Trevor Lawrence has had some issues in the interception department, so maybe Travis Hunter will help him out. He's unbelievable talent, but he's very slight. I've always said big people beat little people. That's always, when you give this amount of capital.
And is that realistic? I have found that a fascinating part of this conversation going all the way back to the beginning of the process. In the meantime, let's get to the third one here. If someone were to say Jaxson Dart is going to save the job of the Giants coach and their general manager and everybody else, is that an overreaction?
It's an overreaction just because we've seen so many instances over the last 5-6 years where you draft a quarterback in the first round and the head coach is out a year later or by the end of the year. It happened with 2 separate teams last year, right, with the Patriots and the Bears.
Right.
And if you draft a first-round quarterback, it doesn't save you. These guys are going to be judged on wins and losses and how.
My feeling on it, one way or the other, I have no idea what will wind up happening with the coach and the general manager. I thought the Giants had an unbelievably good draft in a variety of ways. I happen to love Cam Scatterbo, but that's a different topic. They got the player they wanted at the top in Abdul Carter, and they got the quarterback they wanted, whether it's the one that we thought they should take or not. They had their choice of all the rest of the quarterbacks, and they took the one they wanted. I thought the Giants had an outstanding draft.
I think you have to look at the last 10 months for the New York Giants organization and also the Giants fan base. The Hard Knocks series was very damaging for Joe Shane, the general manager, in a public way. And then when Saquon Barkley comes out and has the season he has, and Xavier McKinney comes out and has the season he has, this fan base has been in a rut. The team was in a rut, and I think the reputation of the men making the decision was in a rut. This is the first time Giants fans have been excited since last July.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of Dart and Carter. To your point, they get Cam Scatterbo, they get Marcus Bowe, who they really like, and they get Alexander out of the MAC, who everyone's excited about. I could tell you this, doing the work on the Giants, and I've tried to say it as many times here that they might trade back and Dart would be the guy. I learned this weekend, Jaxson Dart has been Brian Daboll's guy since January.
Yeah.
Since January. They kept that close to the vest. They met with Shedeur a million times. They loved Jaxson Dart. Whether he's the quarterback or not, they got their quarterback, and I think that's huge for a Giants fan to hear.
Greeny, just to add to that, what I really liked about it was the juxtaposition that they only gave up 2 third-round picks to get their quarterback. 1 pick later, the Falcons gave up a 1 next year for a pass rusher that there's a lot of questions about. So I thought the Giants executed a really well-developed strategy incredibly well over 3
Now,
months.
you scout these guys. Do you believe Jaxson Dart is ready to be a starter in his rookie season?
Not initially. I think Russell Wilson was brought in to start on opening day. I think it's important that this team gets off to a good start. I do like Dart. I think it's going to take him some time.
Well, and I think that's another part of how well they handle this process. They've got the guy there. I mean, Russell Wilson is the perfect person to start until Dart is ready.
Not only a third-round pick to get him, but they had 2, and they gave the lesser of the 2. They gave pick 99 instead of pick 65. That would have, to trade up higher, they might have had to give up more.
What did you think of how the Giants handle this NFL draft?
I thought it was fantastic. Like, we've been talking, the whole conversation as it relates to the Giants pre-draft was, are they going to take a quarterback at 3? Are they going to do this? No, they took the blue chip prospect at 3 and said, you know what? We're going to be able to trade back up in the first round and still get the quarterback that they want. And then, like you point out, Mike, they didn't have to give up a king's ransom to go back in the first round to get their guy. I thought it was fantastic.
The only question is, ultimately, Jaxson Dart's going to be compared to the 3 guys they passed on last year: J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix, who had an unbelievable rookie year. So that's something that they're going to have to live with. But if Dart turns out to be okay, all that noise.
I'd also be careful. A lot of Giants fans are saying, look what Daboll did with Josh Allen. Look what Daboll did with Josh Allen. Jaxson Dart does not have the physical traits of Josh Allen. However, what they loved is that Jaxson Dart had to be physically told to leave the building every night at 10:30 at Ole Miss. You cannot be here any later. He has the work ethic that's necessary, especially in this market.
And a quick reminder, I know you know this, but if the Giants had taken one of those quarterbacks, they wouldn't have Malik Neighbors right now, who might wind up being Jaxson Dart's best friend, very best friend that he ever had in his entire life as this thing plays out. I thought they had a very good weekend. Stanley Cup.
Analyst Sam Acho are here with us now to break this down. Hello, guys. I know it has been a long couple of days, but here we are. The wait is over. Shedeur Sanders. It ends in round 5 for him. He is officially going to Cleveland. And so now I want to ask you both this. How do you assess the fit for Shedeur in Cleveland? Matt, I'll go to you first on this, considering you said now here's his opportunity and he's got to capitalize on it. What do you think of the fit?
It's a great opportunity, and it is a great fit. When we studied him pre-draft, I said Cleveland Browns are the ideal fit for Shedeur Sanders. Now, I thought that might be in the 2nd round, not in the 5th round, but the fit remains very, very good. Kevin Stefanski's offense is going to be dictated by play action, by playing in the pocket, carving up defenses with timing passes. That's what Shedeur does best. His accuracy, his toughness in the pocket. Those are his hallmark traits. Those are the things that you want to build on. And that's exactly what Kevin Stefanski wants to do. There's some weapons in the passing game. They picked up a couple running backs in this draft that will help really fuel this offense. So I know that this is a loaded quarterback room. He's going to have an uphill climb here, but I do think Cleveland is the best fit for Shedeur.
Sam, are you there? Sam might be frozen. I think Sam is frozen. So I'm going to go back to you, Matt, because now that the draft is concluded, 7 rounds are in the books. We get to do the draft grades, right? So who in your mind do you think, Matt, had the best draft?
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams to choose from, but I go back to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a team that just won a Super Bowl on the strength of a great defense. So what did Howie Roseman, the general manager, do? They spent their first 5 picks on defense. They are loaded at the position. Jahad Campbell coming out of Alabama, a little bit of a shoulder issue, so we might see a delay to his NFL start, but he is amazing as a run and chase linebacker. He can make an impact as an edge rusher. If you watch what Zach Bond did with the Philadelphia Eagles last year, that is exactly what type of player Jahad Campbell could be, but he does that with an added layer of athleticism and speed. And then Texas safety Andrew Makuba is going to round out a very good, very young secondary in Philadelphia, joining Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, who they drafted last year and were huge playmakers for them.